Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments. You know, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa, the number one mindset disruptor on the podcast where we explore transformative power of mindset, unlocking success, fulfillment, personal and professional growth. And today we are diving into the art of communication, the science of conflict resolution with my gorgeous, radiant guest, Dr. Doris Wesley. She has done amazing work. So whether you are navigating challenges at work, fostering meaningful relationships, or empowering communities to master their skills, it's essential that you tune in and tap into what Dr. Wesley is going to teach us and help us strategize today. She is someone who has done amazing work here in the US here and around the globe. Dr. Doris Wesley, officially PhD, she is the founder and visionary leader of GEM Daughters Network, where she empowers women and girls to thrive by embracing opportunities and navigating challenges with grace and, you know, our favorite word on the podcast, resilience. She is also a renowned communication conflict paramedic, combining academic expertise with practical application to create transformative change in the communities that she serves. Dr. Wesley, again, welcome, my dear sister, to Mindset Mastery Moments. It's such a pleasure to have you here, and we are honored to always say that you are also a global impact envoy with the mission of Mindset Mastery 360. So here we are. It's your platform just as much as it is the rest of ours. So let's dive into the incredibleness of your work and what you do and how you serve. So in your own words, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Thank you so much. Woo! That was amazing. I am really super excited to be here. Hello, everyone listening and watching. And so good to have you plug in and just be a part of this beautiful conversation. I am Dr. Doris Wesley. I am a conflict and communication pracademic. And I say pracademic because I look at it from an academic perspective and from a practitioner perspective.
Yes.
And so I am the kind of person who would go into any conflict situation, whether it's in an individual level, workplace, organization, communities, and help transform those conflicts and make it healthy. In addition to being a conflict and communication academic, I'm also a social impact entrepreneur. And that means that I lead and I founded the nonprofit called the GEM Daughters Network. And so what we do is we really cater for women and girls who are growing up in a dysfunctional, father to daughter relationship or dysfunctional environment or society. And most people don't talk about that, but yes, everything that a woman goes through revolves around her first experience with the first man in her life, who is a father. And so we actually are very specific about reaching out to those women or reaching out to the people who cater to those women and just ensuring that we help them transform their experience from a daddyless daughter mindset to a Christ daughter. So we're back to mindset again and just, doing the work both as an academic, as a practitioner, and as a community builder. So I'm really excited to be here. There's so many parts of me. I'm an author. I do so many things. I facilitate, I teach, I research, so many things.
Yes.
It's amazing to be here.
She's definitely a valiant woman of impact and a wealth of knowledge. And I love that she says academic because she has the practical side as well, and she's in application always. So that is my key. And I told her when we first met, I said, well, when it comes to conflict resolution, you're going to be my coach. Not because I'm lousy, because I'm so passionate about it. And I'm also a person who like to do things. I don't like to say the right way, but I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way.
Yes.
And so go to the people who are experts of it to learn from them and let them teach you so you can in turn teach others. So Dr. Doris is also my coach that I'm going to be working with. By God's grace, sometime in 2025, I can be on her calendar and figure out mine to match her so I can start getting my training. But Dr. Wesley, conflict resolution, let's start there. is another area where so many people struggle, both personally and professional. And the thing about, I talk about conflict, and I share this with you. I believe that the conflict we have on the outside in the relationships, whether it be professional or personal, is sometimes a reflection of the conflict that is happening within myself or ourselves. And so even we'll talk about Gem Daughters Network in a little bit, because that is, you identify that mindset of being a fatherless daughter. And that in of itself is part of the conflict, right? And so what I find fascinating is how effective resolution strategies can actually strengthen those relationships. Could you share an example of this from your experience?
Yes, beautiful. I'd like to just set a bit of foundation in terms of conflict and what it means before we
Yes,
start
let's do
into
that
the
first,
word.
right?
It's
Yeah.
like conflict, what is it?
Right, because some people be like, is it an argument? Is it a fight?
Is it
What
a
does it
fight?
mean when you say it? Yeah.
Yes. So conflict is everywhere. I like to say
Mhm.
conflict is everywhere. Conflict is right here, right now. It's knocking around us.
Yes.
If any of us decides to bring it out, guess what? It's gonna come out.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Conflict is very interesting. It's an interesting concept and practice.
Mm-hmm.
Conflict helps us to dig deeper into a particular issue. And conflict are just two different people or two entities having different values, orientation, ideologies, perspectives. And so
Yes.
when we see two different people who have different orientation to life come together, guess what? There's gonna be possibilities of conflict.
Conflict. Oh,
So
it is
when
a
people
guarantee.
say, "Oh, I'm having conflict with this person," what they are trying to say is this person's ideals, value do not align with
It's
mine.
mine, please.
Or
Ah,
I am not interested in understanding theirs. And so what happens is fist bumps always
yes,
happens.
yes,
And conflict manifests in different ways. It could be through an argument, it could be through, avoidance, it could be just different ways people exhibit conflict differently. So
yes.
conflict is not bad. In
No,
fact, when we experience or when we encounter conflict, what that does to us is it's a quick, check. Oh my God, what's happening?
right.
What do I need to know about myself, or what do I need to know about the other person to understand how they are doing and how we can come into an alignment? And so
Exactly.
that's the transformative part of conflict, where it's like, how do we transform the differences and make it such that both of us are in a middle ground? And that's where mediation comes in, and dialogue and having conversations, with people. And based on my experience, just working with people, of different cultures coming together, the way we transform conflict is we emphasize the need of healthy dialogues. These are
Mhm.
tiny little things that we teach our 2-year, 3-year-old kids, where it's like,
Yeah.
can we take turns when talking?
Exactly.
Turn taking.
Yes,
And so
yes.
as adults, we realize that
You have to relearn.
one of the driving factor of conflict is we don't listen. We don't
Yes.
listen well enough. And we
Ooh.
realize that that's why it's very healthy to have dialogue. That's why we switch off. We don't want to hear the other perspective. We don't want to hear what the other person has to say. We're just so focused in our own journey and our own way of doing things, that we're not open-minded and flexible like we claim we are. Once we
Oh,
have conflict, let's check our listening abilities again and like, oh, there's something going on here. Let's see.
yes.
And then as soon as you're able to identify that, then you can go into a dialogue with the person, and a dialogue from a perspective of, I want to understand things from your perspective so I can know how best it can serve both of us. And that's how we resolve conflict. I'm trying to go the ABC.
That is so true. That is a whole mindset
Yes.
of, you're saying, listen, here, when you hear yourself shutting down or shutting out, push yourself further to listen to the other person from a perspective to understand and learn, so that this benefits both of us. That is a whole mindset. You have to put yourself in a mindset like that. One of the things, like you said, a lot of times we think we're not judgmental and we're open until someone really, so I love that you explained how conflict, the psychology behind it, or what's happening behind the scenes. Because a lot of us don't know that it's my ideals and my values that are in conflict. It's not that I am in conflict with you. It's my ideals and value. The truth is we are not separate from each other, right?
No.
Oh my goodness. Can you emphasize a little bit? So what are ideals and values so that people can know what they truly are?
Yes, yes, I love that. So everything revolves around our experience.
Mm,
So when we say ideals, ideals are something that we hold on to as the true or the right representation of how we want something to appear. So those are
wow.
ideals. The
Wow.
right representation in our minds of
In
how we
our
want
mind. Yeah.
something to appear. That's ideals. And then values are really embedded in our experiences. And as a result of those experiences, they are the things we lean towards. So when I say, for example, these are my ideals is that you do your work and you do it on time. That's how I view ideals.
So
Like
anybody doing less, it's like,
doing less is
what's
like,
wrong with you?
it's happening. And immediately there's a possibility for conflict to arise because it doesn't align with my ideals.
Yes,
But then when I
absolutely.
say value, I may value philanthropy, I may value impact and influence and giving back. And this could be embedded in the fact that while growing up, I probably, was in a situation where I had been given a lot to,
Yeah.
people have been generous to me. And so
Yes.
at this point, I'm like, I want to give back. And so in giving back, there's that value for generosity and
Right.
philanthropy. So we need to really understand that our values and our ideals are all together with our experiences. And
Right.
what experiences, what we see, what we read, what we bring into our programmings, everything that in our interaction in this world, they all make up our experiences. They make
Yes.
up our DNAs, they make up our prototype, they make up everything that creates each and
Concerns
every
the
one of
first
us.
us. Yeah.
So when we come across people who are not raised the way we were raised, who don't have the experiences that we have, who don't have the worldview that we have, guess what? Our values and ideals would be in clash with theirs. And
Yes.
so when it's together and it's different, there's a possibility of conflict. And so, like what you said, which is so profound, it's not that I'm in conflict with you, it's that my ideals, my identity, my, perspective, all of those things are
Things.
what is
Yes.
in conflict
Conflict
because
with yours.
it's trying to either reject yours
Yes.
or accept yours. Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. Wow. I'm so inspired by your work and what you're doing with Gem Daughters. Because now we're going to switch into this big thing that you've taken all that expertise and literally brought this baby to life, right? You're building this community where women can learn, grow, support each other in in a truly transformational space.
Mm.
What's your vision for the future of Gem Daughters and how do you see it evolving over the years, especially when you think about conflict resolution? Why did you even
Yes.
come up with, how did you even come up with that to begin with? Really, that's what should be my question.
Oh wow, Germ Daughters is from a personal experience.
Mm,
So there is no Gem Daughters without my experience. I always
okay,
like to say that.
right.
So I am someone who grew up without the presence of my father.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of pain. There's just so much that a lot of fatherless or daddyless daughters experience.
Yes.
And I had to go through that myself, up until the time when I had to face, come in contact with awareness. And I was like, oh my God, what have I been expressing and what have I been doing and all of that. But the
Right.
beautiful thing about it is that Germ Daughters was actually a place that was birthed from a place of pain. It was like
Mm,
transforming pain to purpose.
yes.
So I had looked inward. I had gone through several series. In fact, I had transformed. I would say that I'd gone from, being unaware to being really aware and being transformed. And I just sat down, one beautiful day. It wasn't so much of a fun day, but it was just those soulful days, those days where we have to sit one on one with ourselves and like really face the truth. And it was just so obvious that I needed to go back out there into the world and help other women. because I had walked the path myself. I had seen all the perils and all the dysfunction that a young daughter without the guidance of a father or the protection of a father can experience and be exposed and be vulnerable to our world. From that one singular experience, that could determine her career choices, that could determine the relationship she has, that could determine how she either decides to break the pattern or continue passing over the pattern to her kids. It's just from one experience, and then you just realize that it affects every area of a woman's life. In fact, our relationship with money, our relationship with men, so many things. And so what Gem Daughters is about is we really help transform daddyless daughters into a priceless germ. And we're not just doing that because, we just want to talk about the mind or work with these women to empower them. We are actually addressing the social issue of fatherlessness. And that's
Yes.
a pandemic. Right now, we have, here in the US alone, we have over 22 million people
Wow.
who are fatherless. And so when we
Mm,
think about that in a global scale, that is massive.
that is, yes.
And it really does affect so many things and so many expressions. And so when I think about the vision for Germ Daughters, it's amazing because we're creating it. We have a digital community that's growing right now, and where we're really pouring into these women, helping them, become the better version of themselves, heal through their journey. I
Yeah.
actually developed a 5-step, process because that's the path I had
That you
walked.
had to walk. Yes.
Yes, it was from awareness to acknowledgement to healing to forgiveness and then transformation. So when we
Yes.
think about, you've got to transform, change your mindset, we've got to realize that some people it's really hard for them to just wake up
It's
and
not just like that. Yes.
it's
They're
not
not
just
free.
like that because
Yeah.
there's a whole lot from a childhood experience to the trauma to the healing to a lot of cleaning and excavation has to
Yes.
go down before we go into the transformative state. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where and we don't just help these women, realize that those mindset they're probably having are limiting and all of that, or helping them to break patterns. What we are doing, which is quite intentional, is when they arrive at the transformation state, we then begin to go back to some of their experiences and dig out the strength in them. And this is how these women are able to look at their lives to say, because I had to go through this, now I'm able to do this. So they're actually reframing their lives, they're redesigning
Yes.
their lives. So it's like this 3-step process of reclaiming, and then you reframe, and then you redesign. And as soon as they're able to go through all of that, then the world is just, just so little for them.
It's
And
so little. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I can see that. So when it comes to combining Gem Daughters and what your work is as far as when it comes to communication, because that's such a vital piece, but yet so much misunderstanding, and that's where that conflict comes in, right? I'd love to hear more about the challenges you've seen women face when it comes to communication and how you help them overcome these barriers.
Mm, mm. Women are often it's just the world we live in, often labeled or misjudged or misrepresented. And as a result of that, a woman knows, or a woman has been taught by society, if she
Mhm.
doesn't have the right figure or the right system in place, she's been taught to actually shut up. And
Mm,
over time, women lose their voice. And so what we're learning is we can't really talk about communication if we do not make these women see themselves as who they really are, and not
yes.
necessarily who the society has actually labeled or misjudged them to be. And so
Wow.
we have these women who have so much, but they've all bottled it up. And in bottling it up, they just keep so much within them. They're not able to communicate to get the right help they need or to advance in whatever pursuit they're on. And so one beautiful way we help them, communicate with themselves or communicate those challenges is through our private community. And so women are feel safer when they're around like minds.
Like minds, yes.
They're in a community that do not judge them. They're in a
Right.
community where they could grow together with other women who are having similar experiences, and they
Exactly.
know they are not alone. And so what we do is we actually ensure that these women know that what you're going through, I've been through it too. And so there's that vulnerability, there's the sharing, and then that's where healing take place. And
Yes.
so in order for them to see themselves as the value in the priceless way that they've been created, as soon as you know it, these women become very outspoken, they get their voices back, and they are able to really interact with the society. I'll give an example even for myself. I was once, someone who would be outspoken, and at some point I realized I didn't even identify myself again. And this was as a result of all the life happenings, the
Yes.
dysfunctions, the labeling, all of it. But as soon
Hmm.
as I was able to see myself in the light, go through the personal development, professional development, mindset change, so many things just began to fall in place. All of
Yes.
a sudden, I'm moving from just this quiet, teeny person to go
Two.
into spaces and be like, let's bring it
Yes.
down. We're bringing it down right now. Because
Exactly.
you see yourself first. You see
Yes.
yourself as that person first.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Absolutely. What are some of the success stories you've seen from the network of gem daughters that highlight that transformation, the power of mentorship and community? What are some of those you've seen? Like maybe one case you have that's always bubbling up on the top of your head.
Oh, yes, one just came out now. So after we had our Father's Day retreat, so we always have during Father's Day weekend, it's in June. I think every Father's Day weekend is always the second week of June. And so we
June,
always
yes.
have our retreat then.
And it's a live retreat.
Yes,
Oh
it's a live
wow.
retreat on Zoom, virtual. People can join from all walks of life.
Yes.
Yes. And what's so very empowering is last year when we held the retreat, it was a 2-day power packed, retreat. I got a message from, one of the ladies in the network, and she said that she hadn't spoken to her father in 20 years. And then
Wow.
after that retreat, she called him. She had a one-on-one conversation with him. So you can
Wow.
see this is where communication comes in, and this is where
Yes.
resolution comes in.
Yes.
She was really in that place where she was willing to listen to his
So
side of the story because
story,
she
yes.
understood that she doesn't know the whole picture. And that's what
Right. She only had the stories that she created over time from her experiences.
exactly.
Yeah.
It was a gathering where I had to really unpack that all daddyless daughters, or even women in general, we have the survival handbook that we've created in our
Our
minds.
own, yes, yes.
Yes.
And that doesn't serve, it might serve us in the beginning of getting over the struggle, but
Yep.
for the next level and the next level, we have to get a new book.
A new book. Exactly. And so we had to go back to that book. And so we were
Yes.
visiting that book.
Like, look, throughout this chapter, that chapter, they're
Yes,
not valid for you anymore, daughter.
exactly. And so she
Yeah.
arrived at a particular chapter where she was able to flip over to a new chapter and say, okay, now this version of myself is ready to have a dialogue with this person. And so
Right.
she took herself there and she communicated to me how transformative that conversation was and how it really brought a lot about reconciliation and healing.
Yes.
When we had the germ daughters, I never knew that it would get to a point where fathers
Where
and daughters are reuniting.
you united, right? You think you're going to help them survive or not survive, thrive after they
Right.
have survived being a daddyless daughter. They can
Yes.
now thrive. But now you're bringing restoration.
Restoration is
Yes.
and I've even had someone within the network, again, back to communication and conflict, who had a very hard, experience with her mother. So we're talking about fathers here, but people don't talk about the mothers and the
The
role
mother
they
wound.
play
Yeah. The mother wound is a
in the
thing too.
conversation. And
Hmm.
so it's so interesting because we were unpacking what enablers are. Enablers are just people in our lives who helped support our dysfunctions. And so, so she had to go open the chapter and start having conversations with some of the enablers, and her mother was
Was
one.
one of them.
Was
Yes.
one of them, and
Yeah.
she was had this conversation, she had this dialogue, she had this resolution of conflict, and everything was transformed. And so we
Wow.
make these women understand that, like you mentioned earlier when we started this conversation, before you can have a good or successful conflict resolution with someone else, you've got to have that with
With
yourself.
yourself. Yeah, everything
And
begins with me.
that's the internal conflict that most people don't
Yes.
talk about.
Yes.
How do you resolve conflict with yourself? What stories do you tell yourself?
Yes.
What do you tell yourself when you're all with yourself? Do you criticize yourself? Do you love yourself?
Come on
All of
now.
these conversations actually shapes our experiences, and then we manifest it when we reach or come in contact with someone else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow. That is so deep. That is so deep. My goodness. What do you think the most important lesson is that you teach the women and girls in the network?
I teach so much, but
I know, because I feel like you're teaching them to understand who they are and how their journey has formed where they are right now, which to me is so important, because once you understand how you are where you are right now, regardless of what you might think you're successful, you might think you're struggling, whatever that looks like, as long as you can come into awareness. I feel like that's the biggest lesson. Listening to you share is awareness of how they got where they, and so if you want different results, you can't really make a plan
yes,
going about doing, well, you can't really make progress if you're going about doing things the same way you've been doing.
anyway, yes. It's been interesting because last year we've been looking at the theme of decision making, and we stayed with that. It's in fact this year we're on the journey of decision making.
Yes.
We're just doing everything about it, and it's so
Yes.
interesting how one of the biggest thing, in addition to the awareness piece, is making these women understand that the quality of your decision actually determines the quality of your result and your
Oh, come on.
and so we hardly talk about decision making.
We don't.
Everything we
If that
do,
should be a class we teach in preschool all the way to
all the way,
university.
yes.
Absolutely.
So decision making, we are all faced with decisions every single moment.
That's it.
Do I pick this?
I am
Do
a
go here?
complete result of the decision I've made.
Yes.
And then do you know what I say, Dr. Wesley? Because I believe, and I have quite a few quotes out there, I said, you have to understand life is filled with decisions. But when you make a decision, if it doesn't give you the result you want, you have to decide to make another decision from that place. That's it. That's all we have, really.
Yes. Yes.
Our decisions, and it sounds like it's not a lot. It's the most important piece of our lives.
It is.
What does it matter if I have a PhD in anything and I have $5 million in anything, but I was making poor decisions?
Yeah.
And poor decisions is not based on what my ideal or values are, or it's based on what your ideals and value are. But at the same time, I make it really simple. Where do you want to go?
Yep. Exactly. And why?
Dr. Kareem says decision determines your destiny.
Yes, it does.
I love the way he coined that. When I heard him say, I was like, I'm taking that. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it because it seals it.
Yes.
Fate does not determine your destiny. There's no predetermined. Everybody has to choose their difference. I think things happen along with it, but your decisions is what will determine.
Yes.
If I'm saying I'm going down the road and there's a roadblock, I can make a decision. Find the detour route, or I can continue sitting there and waiting till they clear it up.
Forever. Yeah.
Pick one. It's a decision, right?
Yes, it is. It's been a series that has been eye-opening. In fact, even while I teach it.
Oh my goodness. I can only imagine what you all are doing with that.
There's a lot of transformation as they are just listening and sharing their experiences and saying, oh, wow, I see why I made this choice. And this career choice is tied down to their experience.
Right.
Even the choice of a spouse, the choice of where they live, the choice of a career, the choice of the relationship and the people they have in their circle. The
Yes.
choice of even being a part of the network.
And a lot of people don't realize those things are choices. I didn't. For a long time in my life, you went by default based on those ideals and values that I actually held that were not always mine.
Yes.
It was just what I was taught, what I inherited.
Yeah.
And so I kept making decisions from that perspective. But then I want to go there. And this way of being and doing takes me
It's keeping
there.
you bound. Yes.
It's like you're separate from yourself.
From yourself. Yes. Yes.
Exhausting.
Yeah, that's the word, exhausting. I've been there. It's like an unlived life. It's the most exhausting life ever.
It's like I get up and I put on, I'm happy to be in the bathroom because I can be myself over there. But then when I get out, put on the coat and the mask. Don't be what they expect you to be. And one thing my guest said prior I was recording, he says, you have to give yourself permission to let go of what you think that people think that you are or you should be.
Wow.
And I was like, wait again, say that again.
Say that again.
Give yourself the license and the permission to let go of what you think that people think you should be or that you are. And then there's layers to that. Yes, because it's not even what they think you are, it's what you're thinking they think you are or should be. Yes. So it still comes back to who?
It still comes back to you. What decision are you making? And I always say this, nothing has meaning except the meaning we give to it.
Ooh, that's a mindset.
Yes. If you think they are thinking a particular way, it's because you gave it meaning, you gave it life.
You're the energy to it. You give it the energy that it needs to become what it is.
Yes.
And that's why, oh my goodness. Whoa, that makes me so hot. Oh my goodness. So this network of women, virtual mostly, right?
Yes.
What techniques did you use to help them build trust and connection so that they feel safe enough to unveil, release, and then refill? Basically, I love that. That came out of nowhere, but I love it. Because they unveil these parts of them.
Yeah.
They will have to let go and then refill it with new and more functional pieces and parts of what their geography will be as a person. Right. How did you build trust and connection with that?
I just say maybe it's from my experience.
Yeah.
And that's
you're vulnerable and authentic.
Yes, very vulnerable, very authentic. I'll tell them I've walked this path before. I'll reveal part of myself.
Yes.
Within the safe network so that they feel, and vulnerability is contagious. As soon as you become vulnerable, everybody else just starts bringing it all out.
Yeah, especially women. Oh boy. And a lot of us have been needing that because granted, some of us, especially women who've struggled in their father-daughter relationship or mother-daughter relationship, because those are our early years. We haven't been able to connect to what we really feel. And when we're afraid to have these conversations with the people in our lives for fear that they might judge our experience or they might have a different view of the experience.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, my sister and I grew up in the same home. We were two peas in a pod. We're just 2 years different. And there are times we're rehashing incidences and she has a total different recollection of that than I do.
Yes.
And so both of us, she's a therapist, so she's deep in psychology. And of course, I've just studied psychology was I say all the time. I read that like romance novels. I studied human behavior and psychology even before I was in college. So what I learned is that the brain will make up stories that's comforting, or you will make up stories, whatever that is, will make up stories to comfort you and soothe you.
Yes.
And so when we get around other people who are comfortable with their stories, now we feel comfortable connecting with our stories.
Yep.
But what you're offering Gem Daughters in the network is to have a realistic, perspective of the stories they've tell themselves.
Yes.
And connect to the true journey, not the story. Because the story, exactly, it's no different than I could come in here and tell the audience a story about Dr. Doris. But when I share my experience of Dr. Alisa, different storytelling, they can connect to it because I'm coming from a place of experience, like you said.
Yes.
And now they're like, wait a minute, I heard you. And now the story I've been telling myself doesn't seem to be.
Exactly. I just tell people, I'm like, let's get into the habit and let's make it normal to experience people the way we meet them and not told about them.
Right.
Like in my case, growing up without an actual present father, I was told stories.
Right. Why he wasn't there. Yeah.
My mom's siblings told me stories.
Right.
The community told me stories.
Right.
My classmates told me stories. Right. And so all of the stories all formed up, and I came up.
And you had to make up your own stories from those stories.
Back it up. And so one of the beautiful things we even do in our coaching program is actually taking them back to the story. There's an exercise where we call it your story, where they actually go deep into their experiences, excavate the story at different timelines of their life experiences. So for example, we've had people talk about this story I was told when I was 3 to 5 versus the story I was told when I was 8 to 10 versus the story I then told myself when I was 25 to 30, And so when we go through those stories, this sounds very easy, but the ache, like the daughter ache and the pain and the wound, it's like going back to wake up dead cells. It's like it's so painful.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm like, I'm here, I'm holding your hands, because that's the step you need to take towards transformation.
Yes.
As soon as we tell our stories, we begin to, in the exercises, it's so interesting because research often shows that, daughters who grew up without their fathers are burdened with the task of when to tell their stories, when not to tell their stories.
Yes.
How much of their stories to tell.
Yes.
And how much of their stories to keep to themselves.
I absolutely can concur with that. Exactly. And
so when we are boxed,
we are boxed in. Yes. And we never are. And it's funny because we don't even want to listen to the story in our own heads. So we bury them. And we put a glossy view over it. And that was my dad. That's how he was. Or, you know what? No, I have the mother. I have the best mother in the world. I didn't need a father anyway. Yeah, exactly. Right? So just to shut off the true connection and the true story and how I feel about it, you just gloss it over.
Yes.
There's others who just now create a bitterness about it. Like, you don't need a father. What do you need a man for? I'm going to have kids, but I'm going to go get an artificial insemination, a sperm donor, because it would be the same. My dad all he was a sperm donor.
Yep.
I had a guest on for Father's Day last year.
Oh, that's
and she talked about this. She talked about how, her mom, she never knew her dad at all, but always missed him. And her mom told her, like you said, the mother told her, I don't know who your father is or whatever. The mother knew. And everybody told her a different story. But she always had this longing for her father, only to find out that her father was always looking for her. And her mom told her father to have nothing to do with her. No one ever told that story. And that is not a story. That happened. That mother said, I don't want you in my child's life at all, and you're not allowed. And took her away and hid her, kept her away. He didn't know where they were. And she now looking for her dad found out. So now she found out the story she had And the hurt and pain she carried was based on a lie.
Yep.
And she always adored her mother. Now she's in conflict in her early 20s. Like, who's my mother and what, this woman I idolize, is something totally wrong with her.
Yes.
That is a whole nother story she's telling
That's a
herself.
story.
Because now it's her to understand, now to get the story, hopefully, and I think she did, of why the mother did what she did. But the mother did what she did out of fear and all the things. And so the mother has a perspective, and while it wasn't right to decide for that child and that man how they were to be in relationship with each other,
Yep.
she made a decision. Keyword, that lesson you're teaching, very big. She made a decision based in fear that caused so much pain in the lives of two other individuals, and for herself too, because she suffered all that time keeping up this crazy story.
Yep.
About this child's father. So it's amazing why. So the story sometimes you even get has nothing to do with the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And so you have to go past storytelling and look for facts.
Yes.
And I ask people all the time, is that true? And can you prove it? Get the proof. All the stories, because all the limiting beliefs are based on stories. And I say, look for proof.
Yes.
And unless you have proof, you're operating in fear, because that story is based on fiction. You have no proof. So if I'm going to tell myself, I can't sing, I ask myself, how do I know?
How do you know?
Have I sang before?
I did.
Exactly. Oh yeah, I do in the bathroom. It sounds horrible. No. Have you performed on stage? Because when you say you can't sing, that means you're not going on stage. Have you had anyone else listen to you and tell you that you can't sing?
Yeah.
And, find proof for everything you tell yourself. Find a proof. And if you don't have proof of it, you're going to have to, my bet for you is to just let that go until you have proof of it.
Yeah.
Let that whole thing go.
Yes.
Let it sit out there, put it somewhere and say, okay, I only have proof of this and this and this. I can't fill this glass and say I know the thing. So put it down, let it be, it'll come to you in time. Don't focus your life on it. I don't have a father. My father wasn't in my life. My mom said it was because he was a deadbeat. My grandma said it's because my mom was fast and I told her not to get with that light-skinned guy anyway. All that's their perspective. That's their opinion. That's their story. Don't make it yours.
One of the beautiful things that we do, even in the exercise of storytelling in our coaching program, is after we've actually unpacked the story, the to-go stories, whatever it sounds like, then we come to this very interesting question of, so what is your interpretation of that story?
Wow.
So now you have to give that story life. Or you've got to kill a particular part of the story that doesn't serve you. It's not to say that, the story is not true, because we don't know the whole story in the first
No, we don't. Right. So we don't have the information. Yeah,
even if we try to gather all the pieces together, it's just what it is. So now it's, what is your interpretation of it? What narrative do you want to work with going forward? Because whatever decision you make is another story in and of itself.
Yes.
So now let the story serve you. Let the story heal you. Let the story bring life to you.
Yes, rewrite the story. Yeah.
You rewrite it. That's the reclaiming part. The redesigning part.
Yes.
The exercise. Where you write it again, not to lie, not to tell yourself it never happened.
Right.
Acknowledge it, but then you tell yourself, this is what I want going forward.
Forward from here.
And a lot of daddyless daughters come to realize that what they need at some point is boundaries, so that they could limit the storytelling that comes from the external source, and they could amplify the one that they are trying to rewrite.
I love that. Oh, yes. Oh, that's deep. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Dr. Doris. What inspired you to blend academia with practical applications to become that pracademic that you are?
You're gonna ask me?
Yes, I wanted to know. I'm nosy,
You're such an amazing interviewer. We should do journalism at some point.
I know, right? It's like, did I do this in a past life or something? Because I didn't study it. I have no clue. I don't have a clue. I just do whatever my mind tells me.
Yeah. Again, back to mindset. So
Right?
when you love yourself, you honor your mind.
Oh, true. Exactly. I'm grateful. Yes.
So, back to your question. I've been an academic for, I can't even remember how long, but I've always been the kind of person that enjoys, the scholarly side of things, the
Yes.
research, the fact finding, the investigation, all of it. But then I realized there's this trend in academia, and if you're not in academia, you won't know it is. It's just all about theory,
It is.
and
And
it's
that's the
about
part, I think it's part of the part of academia that I actually like and
yeah,
respect. Because there's
yes,
a lot I have conflict, my ideals and values as I've grown, because I used to be so much overly focused on academia.
mm,
I was raised in a society and a culture that is forbidding the actual person in the academic space, and that there's gift, talents, and ability that are given by God that we don't really train in academia, but we dumb it
yes,
down more than anything.
yes,
So that's my conflict, and that's an evolution. But I've embraced it, and my job, I feel, part of my work is to help to bring the value of academia. Probably go ahead and answer your question for myself. The value of academia and bring it with the other side of practicality
yes.
so that it works in harmony.
It works in harmony. That's the word.
Yes,
You just
exactly.
said it. So I had the same experience. I had the same conflict. I was studying all this theory, studying all this history of
Yes,
people. Some people that are dead, I don't even know who they are. I was just citing them in my work. I was so
exactly.
bored.
Yep.
And especially when you're doing something like and studying something like conflict, how do you really test if a
You
conflict
can't just talk,
theory or
yeah,
framework is
without going
working if
out
you don't go
there.
out into the field, right?
Yes.
And so I just literally, while I was an academic, just knew upfront that I was going to be more of the applied academic.
Yeah.
So I was never going to just do anything within the confines of an academy, of a
Hmm.
university, but I was actually going to work with practitioners, people who are actually on the field doing the hard work, because I have
Yes.
to acknowledge that those on the field are working hard. And
Hmm.
just seeing how I can glean from their knowledge, glean from their insight, and then blend it with the academic theories and framework and paradigms, and just see how we can create this holistic piece that
Yes.
could serve everybody. And just embracing that has really exposed me to different audiences, from terrorist survivors in sub-Saharan Africa
Yes.
women and girls, to organizations who are building peace, to just different places, just because I'm more like the person that's like the boot on the ground. You know what I mean?
Yes. You love to
On
get your
the
hands,
ground.
and that's me. Oh my goodness.
Yes, yes.
Ooh.
So just
Wow.
staying in one place it just doesn't resonate with me. It's the same thing with these women and girls in the group where I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, we're doing this work, but let me see how it's applying in your life. That's how we really measure impact.
Yes.
Else, we'll just be doing the same old thing and nothing is changing.
Exactly. It doesn't give you the results. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next question I have for you is, how do you personally, because you and I know how our schedules. So I want you to share with that woman who's listening and she's like, okay, so first of all, I've never heard about a pandemic before. That's crazy.
Mhm.
But then you have gem daughters and you solve conflict in sub-Saharan desert. How do you personally stay grounded and resilient in challenging situations?
Oh, that's sweet. How do I stay resilient in challenging situations? I
Yes.
love that. I love that. I love that. So I really allow the season I'm in to really guide me.
Yes.
Um, and there is nothing like work-life balance. It's like I'm balanced. I'm
It's balance whatever it is for you in
just gonna
that
keep it
time.
real. Just
Same
gonna keep it
here.
real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so in one season, one is gonna take the lead over the other.
Yes.
And it's really about creating harmony. I'm in a season
Talk to
right
us
now.
about harmony.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm
I
in a
love it.
season. I'm in a season right now where I've already created the systems as an academic. So there is the flow that comes natural.
Right.
And as a result of the system that has been created, it's not taking much of my energy. But now I'm building an organization, which is the Germ Daughters, and that's taking most of my focus this season.
Right.
So I'm giving it my all, and I'm
Yes.
out as a practitioner right
Yeah.
now. There's going to come a time again where, while I've built that to a place where it can actually outgrow me and it can survive without me, then I'm back as an academic, writing and publishing and,
Yeah.
going on conferences. So it's really just understanding that if you set your mind that you want to do something, embrace them, embrace those ideas, don't kill it.
Exactly.
What are those thoughts? I still have so many things that I want to do. And right now I'm asking myself, do I have the bandwidth for it? But then I had to change my perspective
And
again,
say, how can
back to
I?
mindset. Not just about how can I, but who is doing this work that by collaborating with them, I'm still living
You're going
out
to
that.
facilitate. Yes. Yes.
Exactly. So we have to, because ideas do not just come from the space, it's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's inspired by God.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so when we have it, and the best way to nurture it is, how do I start looking out for people who are actively running with that in
Right.
their
And
season
then you pour your what you need into it and
into
amplify
it?
what they're doing. That's the
And guess,
visionary.
as a
Mhm.
result of pouring into it, guess what? I'm also living that dream. I'm also a part of that idea. So it's just really looking at the season, looking at the needs that arise in a particular time, and just allowing that to lead. And with that, there's just harmony, and you don't feel guilty that, oh
No, and you
God,
don't
I'm not
feel
doing
you get
enough.
tired sometimes physically because
Yeah.
you're a human body, but you still feel rejuvenated and just fired up still.
Mhm.
And I love the word. I've been using that as well, is harmony, because I don't look for balance. I seek harmony. I'm a
Yes.
harmonious person by nature. So if it's that's the only time I have issues. I believe a lot of people say, oh, well, you seek balance. I'm like, nah, it's actually harmony. And so am I in harmony and authenticity with myself? Am I taking care of myself? And am I doing what I say I need to do? Or am I clear on what I need to do to get what I say I want
Mhm.
in the time that I say I want it? Am I connected to the right people? So once that I have those pillars lined up, it's a matter of just navigating, like you said, and flowing with it,
Mhm. Yes.
right? And sometimes there's the learning curve, there's Murphy's Law, that things are going wrong. But because I'm clear about where I'm going,
Yep.
I just have to pivot the
Yes.
method of getting there.
Yes.
Nothing. So
Yes.
that's for me, that's harmony. If I have, the only time I'm off is if I don't have clarity. And
Yes.
clarity does not mean I have all the answers. It just means I'm clear about why I'm doing what I'm doing and what am I doing?
Yes.
Because how I'm going to do it, I have a clarity, but that I know is it might have to change. That's why you say, well, I have this plan and I want to do this, but no, I don't have to do it this way. I can facilitate this vision through people who are already doing it. And that's something we just had a conversation for in the movement, the executive team just last night, because we have a vision. It's clear. We're not changing that, but the method in which we're delivering the vision is what we have to pivot in this season, right?
Strategy.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. How has your own mindset evolved through your career and personal experiences? Like, what did you experience? Like, when you were in the academia side mostly, and you had these theories and all that, how did your mindset shift when you got into the practical side of things?
Uh, it was really humbling.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
My mindset shifted when I realized that I'm trying to look for the right word to use. All that I know is not all there is to know.
Oh, that's deep.
That
That
that's
resonates.
that's
Yeah.
where I was like, oh wow. Because academics, we're in a very tiny little bubble and we feel like we know all
Yes. It's
there is to
kind of,
know.
Because you've learned the facts and the theories about
You learn
stuff.
everything and you know the systems and you're like, I'm so smart and I'm getting this award.
And we tell you all that you are.
Yes.
The system tells us.
You're getting all these awards and you're getting this grant and you're feeling good. And there's really nothing bad about
But then you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. Until you get to an unfamiliar place and you're like, what? I don't know what to do
I'm
now.
lost for words. I don't have
I don't have the words. I don't have the skills.
My brain can't even wrap around this. Come on. I know exactly what you're talking about.
How to talk to these people, even though I'm coming from a place where I would be considered the
expert on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it just humbles you.
Yeah.
And it makes you know that life has options we know nothing about. You know, yes. it just opens that. And so that was the mindset. And that was the shift. And I was like, no, and because, we're on this journey of personal growth, we always want to become the better version of ourselves.
Yeah,
and so that was a good challenge. It was a good one for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep all these accolades in the confines of the academia and go out and
get
get the insight I need and talk with the people that matters, and trust me, most of the confidence and the things when people ask how are you able to do this, I'm like, it's because I got out of my comfort zone.
You got out.
Yes. I got out.
Yes.
And there is nothing as beautiful as being practical in your growth. Like,
exactly,
if you're going to do something, jump, do it. Move,
right. It's the difference between a human doing and a human being. You surrender to experiences to bring alive the theories that you know. And you realize actually the theories, the facts inside the theory didn't change. They just have way more value to you now. Yes. That's what I love about academics and research. And I really advise people, I said, don't have to go to a college campus if you don't want to become an academic.
Yes.
Get the right theory. I'm not saying stop, but filter out a whole lot of what you hear on social media, please.
Yes.
Because a lot of the stuff they telling y'all are not scientifically based. And that's where we get nerdy. And I could sit and tell you why that's just crazy. And they say they're so confident. One of the things my guest said a couple hours ago, he's like, one thing about the human, we don't investigate what we see. We take it at face value, and we are more than. This is why people get scammed. Someone sent us a text with our bank information saying blah blah blah, and we click the link because the logo. We don't investigate the logo, and that logo is not the same logo. It just appears to be, but if you take a second look, it's not the same logo. But the natural, it's not your fault that you get scammed like that. Our natural nature is not to test. Someone come up and say, I'm an expert in self-awareness and I am going to teach you. We are like, oh my gosh, she's the expert in self-awareness. So we're here and we're like listening to every word she says. But like our dear Dr. Wesley said, I am the expert in conflict, but I had to go learn so much more in a practical space. Now, I'm not mad at anybody for being confident. No, that's exactly what they should be. It's your job to know whether or not there's true value there by doing your research. And so when I see people give dating, it's just when it comes to dating advice and just forget dating, just relational advice, how you should deal with your mother. One viral clip of a woman in a car who is still mad at her mother, telling you your mother will be the reason you go straight. Now everybody's like, you know what? My mother, yeah. You forgot all the good things your mother done. Now there's some harm that can be done, without intent. But now you throw everything out, and now you go out there looking for God knows what. I could go on and on. But the truth is, academia has a room. Research. So I tell people, if you love cars, go research the science, the theory, how this car works. Go get these things. Yes. Don't go just looking on YouTube Versity, because YouTube Versity can be helpful, but again, it's still opinion based. A lot of people are giving you their perspective and what they've learned. Same I say about even when you read the Bible.
Yes.
Don't just rely on your pastor every Sunday.
Oh,
Read the
no.
Bible for yourself. Go study the history of the Bible. You will have a whole lot more to tell me about. Don't start with me. I'm not going to go there. But these are the things. Go to research. So, Dr. Doris, what do you believe is the key to achieving long-term success in your life and work? Because we want to know. With someone as successful as you, we want to learn from you.
Long-term success. I'll speak from my personal experience.
Yes, of course.
I would say persistence is key. There's several. But long-term success comes with being persistent. And the reason I say persistent is,
why persistence and not consistency?
yes, we live in a culture where we have little threshold of patience.
Yes.
Not patience.
We are naturally attention deficit without even any diagnosis. We don't need
We
it.
just want it here and you will want it now. And
Yes.
my
I call it
hands
the
are-
Burger King mentality. Have it your way. Have it
And
now.
so when you're persistent,
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing is, even though you don't know what you're doing, even though you're not clear, you just tell yourself, I'll keep doing this. I'll keep doing this. What you're doing is you're activating a law, and the law that you're activating is clarity comes in the doing.
Ooh, I love it.
That's what you do when
That's
you
it.
constantly,
Show up. Show up.
towards that
Do
thing
it.
that you
Yeah.
want. I say this because I've had 1 million reasons to not do what I'm doing right now. Like
Exactly.
the moment I just face, the first initial resistance, I'm
Like,
like,
why am I not doing this? Yeah.
so I realized that the more I stay on that thing and stay with that thing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this has unlocked so much.
Yeah.
Daddyless is one example. The very first time I knew I was called to do that, I was out. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Like tell my story to the world. Like, why will I do that?
Exactly.
But then I realized that it wasn't really about having the whole picture or knowing how it's gonna work out,
Mm-hmm.
but really persistent. And persistence requires effort.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to just put it in a little
Yes.
bit. Just
Yes.
even though however you measure it is up to you. But I would think that is what has really brought me, to the phase that I'm in, just staying persistent. Even
Yeah.
in the way we pray, I'm a person
Yes.
of faith. And, it's easy to just talk to God and say, I want this. And then you're wanting it at a particular time and you don't get it. And you're like,
Oh,
oh,
you're
this is
done. Yeah. You stop
but I keep
believing.
asking and I keep asking. And I'm like, I'm not going to
And
let
because
you
when you're asking, also you're asking for the path. You're getting more clarity about the path
Clarity.
to what you asked for.
Exactly.
Because nothing falls out the sky from God, it doesn't. It's always you unlocking doors and versions of yourself and networking and all the things that brings the
Yes.
things and opportunities that you want. So clarity is, I remember someone saying, oh, if you keep asking, it's because you're afraid. And sometimes that's the case. But I feel like it's more clarity. And if you ask, it's like a child. If you tell your child, hey, I'm going to buy you a bicycle for Christmas, don't say that in January. Say that in like December 10th, because that child is going to ask you, Mommy, is it Christmas yet? Am I going to get my bike? And they're going to ask you every day.
Every time.
And then you're going to have to say, well, listen, it's not Christmas. You have to wait till when Nana's birthday come and Daddy's or so. Now you start to give them benchmarks because they don't understand time.
They don't.
Right?
No.
So if it's not Nana's birthday, you might not. Is it Nana? Now they're not going to ask you about the bike. They say, is it Nana's birthday yet? Golly, how do I get rid of this child? Never promise them
I
anything.
just love it. I
Right?
really love it.
So we're just the same with the children, but I feel like, you're having a roadmap, and I think the child asks all the time to make sure you didn't forget, number one, and number two, to remind you,
Yes.
I'm still waiting.
Still here.
Yes, and make sure that whatever it is you're doing, you have that plan to get them their bike.
Yes.
And so it's like, I feel like God reveals the plan as we continue to seek Him. he will open up like, okay, now, all right, that this thing here, you're not ready for this bike because you haven't even started learning how to ride.
Yes, exactly.
You,
When we ask, which is so beautiful, I love this conversation of faith. When we ask, because God co-creates with us,
that's,
and
yes,
he tells you what next to do, and that's where the clarity comes. I can
yes.
ask, and immediately I get this, reach out to this person and just,
You're
see.
like, and here we say that came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. Because you
Nowhere. It
asked.
didn't. It was the instruction to the next
Yes,
thing.
right. Because God, for me, God lives in me. So
Yes. Yes.
the answers will come from within me. So
Yes.
beautiful. The other thing I love about what you said when it comes to persistence, one of the things I believe in my life, and I always teach this everywhere I go, I said, what do you have in your hands right now? So, you have to say, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. You're not near Mount Kilimanjaro. You're in Phoenix, Arizona, right? So you figure out, how do I get from Phoenix to Mount Kilimanjaro? When I get there, what kind of clothes am I? What's the weather? Da, da, da. Get all the details, write it down.
Yes.
But now what do you have here? In Arizona, we have mountains. So before I can be now, if anything I have is maybe 2 hours every weekend or every other weekend in my schedule where I can go climb the mountains in my my nearby, because I'm preparing for Kilimanjaro. And people are like, you love to talk about Kilimanjaro. I'm like, yeah, am I going to climb? I don't know why I use it all the time, because it's a mountain, and we see our vision and our goals as mountains in our
Yes.
life. Like,
Yes.
oh my God, how would I ever become a world famous international best-selling author? Why do I have that vision? Perfect. We're glad that scares you. But have you started writing have you made a blog for yourself? Are you even posting and writing on social media?
Yes.
Are you writing to the city newspapers in your community? Start
Yes.
there. Before I wrote my international bestseller, I was writing post every time I go in my memories on Facebook and I see 15 years ago I was writing motivational quotes.
Yeah.
And now you look at me and you're like, oh my God, she just started a podcast and boom. No, I realized it was not any boom at all. As my sister would say, I was running my mouth for years. To anyone who would listen, right? My poor mother, my ex-husband, they had to hear me at night talking about all these things, these theories,
Yes.
and application of all the psychology I was learning and what I learned about myself and how I was thinking the wrong way. And that was me disrupting my own limiting beliefs. I've been doing the work. So I come here and I come on this, and I'm confident and I'm knowledgeable and I'm aware, and I have this only because it's a part of me now.
Yes.
And so the promotion came because I was preparing in persistence with a wild, crazy vision.
Yes.
That one day I used to say, oh, they say I talk too much every time. My mom, like, I got 98% on all my subjects, but she talks too much. I'm
That's
like,
what that was my feedback too from my teacher in elementary
the
school.
only, because I would never be disrespectful to talk while the teacher's teaching. Only time she caught me talking was because I was trying to help someone next to me figure out and not copy my name
Exactly.
of my paper.
Experience.
Copy everything, but not my name, you silly person. But my point was, like I said, I remember saying, I don't care. I'm going to get paid to talk.
Ooh.
I'm going to be just like Oprah. And I used to say, all the women who were on TV, I'm going to be like, I'm going to get paid to talk. People are going to pay me to talk.
Yes.
And so when I started getting those $3,000 checks and all those checks coming in from me going out and speak, I'm like, I told them.
I told you.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know what I was talking about.
And it was because you grew where you were planted.
Yeah, and I did not. Honestly, I wanted to be a singer and an actress. I did not want to talk. I did not want to be a speaker. That was not my goal.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah, I wanted to go sing. Put me up there with a song, and it's funny. I always tell people I was over there preaching a whole message before the song. By the time I start to say the first note, I already have most of the people crying in the audience because I spoke a whole message. I don't even know where it came from, but I did it. And it's like, yeah, you were speaking and singing. And when my coach said, it'll be nice one day if you bust out singing. I said, I do that horrible stuff all the time. I would tell people to say, like, ain't no mountain high enough. And then, like, that comes up in my speech. I don't even know where it comes from. And people are like, oh my. And now the whole audience is singing with me because I'm
Yeah.
singing along. So at least it doesn't sound too bad because I have a little bit of
Yes.
practice. But
Yes.
fun stuff, persistence, guys. Hear that. And I hope you caught that because persistence is you take no days off.
Mm-mm.
Persistence is you don't stop.
Mm-mm.
Persistence is you don't understand anymore what's the next turn, but you show
Don't
up and
take
like,
no.
I'm here for the job. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find out just like everybody else today.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, quick question: we want to know. They always want to know from women like us because by the time this episode comes out, we're gonna be in Women's History Month. How do you balance your ambition, self care, and just maintain? Again, we're using the word balance, but how do you maintain the harmony that you speak of?
Ooh. Hmm. How do I maintain it? I would say I'm able to maintain it because I'm I really feel secured when my physical, spiritual, emotional side of me are all aligned.
Yeah,
Alignment.
yeah,
I think that's really what has really helped me maintain it, especially the spiritual side of things.
yes.
Um, and so harmony, yes, we talk about it, but in practice, it's like how does it work?
Sometimes it looks like chaos to everyone else.
Yeah, it looks like chaos, yes, but it's really that, when you've had a very good sleep, right? And you know how your body feels.
Yes.
It's like you feel like, oh, I can take over the world now.
Yeah.
Because in that state, your body is well relaxed, it's ready to create from a pure state. In
Yes.
that moment, if you embrace an idea, it will work.
It would. Yes.
It will work because there is just that alignment. And so, one practical way that I create harmony is I do this exercise personally, and I learned it from my coach, where it's like studying my rhythmic flow.
Mm.
Um, and a good way to do that is you could do this every day. You could do this every maybe morning, afternoon, and evening in your day so that you keep track of how you are physically,
Yeah.
emotionally, psychologically, and all of that. So I have this chart. And this chart at the beginning of my day, I could just be like, okay, this is how I feel right now. This
Yeah.
is how my spiritual, psychological, physical, all of it sound. And then at the end of the day, I can go back and also give myself a score.
Mm.
So I do that consistently. Again, you got to
Yes.
be persistent. We're back to being persistent.
Persistent. Yeah.
I do that to a point where I have looked back at the chart, and this is so simple and practical, but very,
Mm-hmm.
very helpful. I've looked back at the chart to really understand that, okay, I've noticed that I'm more of a morning person.
Mm.
I'm not an afternoon person, or
Right.
more of a morning person and not an evening person because I
Right.
track that during the day. Or
Wow.
I've noticed that during this month of January, it's really when I really want to make sure that, I keep it low or so the fact that your body's because your body's always giving you feedback, your mind is always giving, life is always teaching lessons. And so one of the beautiful thing about that is when I want to create, guess what time I'll create? In the morning. Because I've
Yes.
studied it over time and I've realized that
This
that's
is
what
your
works
high,
for me.
high, your peak. Yeah.
This is my peak. And
Yeah.
so, with that being said, that's where harmony is created. Because now, if someone comes to meet me, let's say 10 p.m. in the night, let's have a very deep conversation. It's going to be a no, no way. Because we're going to get into conflict
Exactly.
immediately.
Number one, you're outside my values. 10 p.m. is not the time to have the
Yes.
talk.
And
Yeah.
so creating that harmony again is just getting into the normal state of embracing everything that comes with you and comes from you. We live in a culture and a world where we criticize a lot.
Yes.
We don't give constructive feedback. We
Feedback enough.
criticize.
Yeah.
Go online and just see the crazy things that
Oh
happen.
my goodness.
Like,
Just it's amazing. Yeah.
what's going on in the minds of people?
People, I
What?
promise you, I need to refrain from saying like, man, Earth is getting so ghetto.
No. Just like, so when I noticed that, I then, just come to understand that we have to just embrace ourselves, even in your worst moment. Just,
Yeah.
get to that point to really sit with yourself again, recenter yourself again,
Yes.
go continue, like get up and move,
That's the
you
biggest
know?
part is that self-awareness, knowing you, what makes you tick, what puts your
Yes.
energy down, what big thing, big
If
thing.
if you don't know that, life is gonna throw every and anything at you. Where we started the conversation earlier, I was talking about how I'm enjoying what I'm doing because I'm doing the work that I love. And
Yes.
it was a commitment that I had to make to myself that I will only do work that I love. So
Yes.
if you bring work to me that I don't love, it's a no. So that's
It's a
a
no,
point to be a
right?
no.
That's the one thing I love about this chapter of my life.
Yes, it's like
I'm
it's a
clear on
no.
my what I will and will not do.
Will
Yeah.
not do. And so because of that, you
Because we
create
know
harmony
why we're
in your
doing
life.
what we're doing. So
Yes,
if it doesn't fit, it's easy.
it's easy. And then you
Let it
create
be.
harmony and then you
Yeah.
embrace what comes. And it
Mm-hmm.
just it just goes from there.
Exactly. I love it. So it's time for us to do flip the script with Dr. Doris Wesley. I have to ask, was there a specific moment or experience that led to a major shift in your mindset and your approach to work or life that really you required you to change your mindset and you did? And how what was it and how did you change?
Oh, I'll come back to Gem Daughters.
Absolutely, yes.
I had been in the pain for way too long, and I knew
Yeah.
that I just needed to get out of the pain.
Mm,
And one way I could get out of the pain is I had to transform it to purpose. I had to
mm.
make it such that I was
Pain
able
to
to
purpose, yes.
help
So,
other people heal. And as
right.
they healed, I was healing as
And
well.
then you're taking an advancement in your journey, in heal deeper into your healing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Even my work with conflict, I grew up in a conflict affected area,
Yes.
heavy conflict in there
Yes.
while growing up. And to see that I'm studying conflict right now, I'm not surprised because it's like when you've gone through such conflict and such trauma and such dysfunction, what do? You
You
switch
want
it
to be,
around, and
yeah,
that's the
you want to be
mindset
have an
shift.
answer. Yes.
So when you're in a situation where you don't like, maybe that's life telling you, now you go transform that.
Yes, you are the solution.
You
Yeah.
are the
You're
solution. And
only
so
presented with problems that you can offer solution to, and it's not just for yourself, it's also for others.
yes, yes.
Absolutely. I believe that. Beautiful answer. The next question I have for you is what legacy do you hope to leave through your work with Gem Daughters Network?
Oh, that's amazing. We were talking about what it would look like 20 years from now, 30 years
Yeah.
from now, and all of that. But I really do look forward to seeing germ daughters grow into a point where we've not, we've it's so emotional. Yes. So we've
Mm,
grown to a point where women are really living in their full potential. Um, the legacy I hope to leave is a season or a time where Germ Daughters is not just mentioned with me or in association with me, but the
yeah.
lives that are being transformed.
Yeah.
Millions of women are being impacted by the work that we do. And as a
Yes.
result of that, these women have gone ahead, to create and to do greater things even for themselves.
Yes.
That's the legacy I
That's the
really
legacy.
do
Absolutely.
do
It's
hope to
it's a
see
beautiful
women.
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
women just step into their full potential. And I and
Yeah.
I think we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can.
No, it's only just begun.
It's
Yeah.
just
Because the
begun.
thing is, with this type of work, the impact is way bigger than sometimes our human vision and eyes can
Yes,
see. And
yes,
it's literally unfolding right before your eyes. And then it goes on indefinitely.
yes,
because it's one life that becomes all the
Or,
children and the people that they come into contact with because of
yes,
the positive change that's changed in them. It's never going to be the same. And that's
yes,
really, I mean, I said I was going to change the world. And I meant it. And that's what we all are. Our world
yes.
changes when we commit in persistence to what our calling is.
Mm,
We really do change the world forever.
mm.
So, just before I ask my other question, what upcoming, we got to talk a little bit about Gem Daughters. What upcoming initiatives and projects within Gem Daughters are you mostly excited about? If you want to share a couple of those with us.
Oh, yes. We always send out germ letters.
Yes.
That's one
I think I
initiative.
have the link already to share that with our listeners and viewers here.
Gem letters is definitely something that's where we share people's experiences and people go through it and, learn about how to transform, their own experiences as well. Another beautiful initiative we have is the community, where we have people become a part of our community.
Yes.
And we call the community the Love Paradise.
The Love Paradise. How
Love
beautiful. I
Paradise. And
love it.
so it's just that place where there is that sisterhood and that lifelong bond and connection that women have, amongst ourselves. And then there is the mentorship even within it, where older women who
Yeah.
are advancing in their growth stages are actually mentoring younger ones who are also growing in their journey.
Yes.
Um, Another thing that we have, another beautiful initiative we have is the Crystal Community Connections. And
Mm.
so we gather every month, just once a month. It's the
Yeah.
last Saturday of the month where for just an hour, it's a casual, conversational style gathering where it's structured in such a way that it's freelance, but we're exposing these women to all the subjects, all the topics where they could really grow,
Yeah.
in their individual lives. So we can do it like in a workshop style. We can make it like a professional or personal development style. But
Yes.
yeah, it's where we actually come together and we see ourselves and we love upon each other.
I love
Um,
it.
and then another beautiful initiative that we do within the Love Paradise is where we have this weekly challenge. And so a question will be posed and then we have something that we're currently working on. For example, we can post a question on tell me a time when blah, blah, blah happened. Or can you describe this experience in just 5 words?
Yes.
Different personal development kind of beautiful experiences that really helps, refine these women and girls that we serve.
Yes.
And
That's
so, yeah, in
beautiful.
addition to that, we also have our Father's Day weekend, event. We
Yes.
always do every Father's Day. This year, actually, we're taking it a step higher. We're actually doing a conference,
Oh,
um,
wow.
a virtual conference where
Hmm.
because we want to, like again, we always go to the root cause. Yes,
Yes.
these are all the symptoms that these women are experiencing, but the root cause is the fatherlessness.
Yes.
And so the conference this year will be addressing the issue of fatherlessness, where we're bringing in different practitioner, either government, officials, policymakers, psychologists, therapists who are doing this work
Work
actively,
as well. Oh,
so that
beautiful.
they could all come together and we can have these conversations and impact the lives of this.
Yes. Of
We can
the.
even have fathers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because I know of a colleague who actually what she does is she helps the father side of things.
Yes.
Bringing them all together is just one beautiful way
Well,
to
conversation. Yes, I
appreciate
love
father.
that. Oh, you guys, you get to go. We will share Dr. Leslie Wesley's information where you can connect with that community as well. My last question and flip the script. What is success to you, Dr. Wesley?
Ooh, that's a good one. Success for me transcends, the conventional metrics, like wealth and status and all of the things that, in our world today we see as success. Success
Yeah.
is relative, like we know. So for me, it's really about doing that which my heart yearns for. So
Mm,
when I find myself doing that true thing that my heart yearns for, I already feel
you
successful
feel
in that
successful.
moment.
Yeah.
And it could be about, let's say, contributing meaningfully to a community or, being resilient despite the resistance that I face, or, even living out my values and belief, all of those things that are intangible. Those are the things that define success for me, because it's in
Yeah.
the little wins and it's in the quiet wins that we really look back and like, wow. Like I always tell people, I'm like, if you had seen me 10 years ago, I look completely different from who I am right now.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so when I tell you I am successful, take me for my word, because
Yeah.
I'm like, what? My past self or my present self?
Self. Oh,
How did we get here?
that is so good.
Um,
That is so
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, so success for me is just really, really personal, and it has to give me fulfillment. If it doesn't make me fulfilled, then I don't think I'm
You
living.
don't want it.
I don't want
Exactly.
it. I don't want
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Oh my goodness. Our conversation went by so quickly. As we wrap up, it's time for Mindset Bites to go, Dr. Wesley, where I'd love for you to leave our listeners and viewers with a parting piece as if it was your last 90 seconds on the planet to give them sage advice, whether it's something we already discussed or just something else you wanted to introduce that you would love to leave them with. I step away from the microphone and the camera, and it's just you, and I will give you that now. Mindset Advice to go.
Yes, this is a good time to give yourself the love you need. If you want to create from anything you have to create from a place that is full with so much life. And so a lot of us do not know that when we kill our dreams, or when we say no to an idea or no to things that we have actually been sent to do, we're actually killing those dreams. And so go out into the world and conquer and shine. The way the world looks right now, it's because you're not getting the work done, or I'm not getting the work done enough. And so one of the beautiful way we can do that is if we love ourselves and love the people around us, that would help us shape our world into the beautiful thing or beautiful place that it deserves to be. All right. So this is me just telling you, wake up, get doing. Just do it from your heart and do it from a place of love. Love always wins, and love is the highest frequency we can ever have. Love wins all the time. Thank you.
Love wins all the time, and it does. Do it from love, not fear. I love that, Dr. Wesley. So powerful. So, everyone wants to know, where do we find a Gem Daughters Network? How do we connect with you? Organizations. Some people are like, oh, this company I'm running here has got a lot of conflict. We need you. How do we connect with you, Dr. Wesley?
All right. So if you want to connect with me personally, you just go straight to my website. It is doriswesley.com. If you want to connect with Gem Daughters Network, it is Gem, which is GEM, Daughters with an S, and then network.org, not .com, .org,
Yes.
gemdaughtersnetwork.org. We currently even have like a quiz, which is so interesting because we put together a very interesting quiz to help women or daddyless daughter determine what kind of personality are they
That's
and what
beautiful.
drives them. And like we know, awareness is the first step to transformation. So when
Yes.
you go ahead and you take the quiz, it's free. You have a debrief call with me, with all the community, all the ladies in our community, and then we walk you through what that personality type of yours is and how you can pivot from a place of, limiting beliefs and lack to a place of transformation.
Yes.
So sign up to our Germ and letters on the gemdaughtersnetwork.org.
Take
Go
the
to my own
quiz.
page, my own website, doriswesley.com. Sign up for my newsletter as well. Schedule a discovery call with me, and let's just take it up from there.
Absolutely. And we will obviously have this wherever you're listening to this episode or watching it. We are so grateful to you, Dr. Doris Wesley, and to the listeners. Please stay in contact with her. Connect with it, www.doriswesley.com. Be sure to sign up for that newsletter. Explore her philanthropy initiatives that she has going on. Everything is central. You'll also be able to go to Gem Daughters from DorisWesley.com. And don't forget to like and follow and subscribe to Mindset Mastery Moments. Your comments, reviews, reach out to Dr. Wesley on social media. Let her know you heard her here and how inspiring her work and her journey has been for you. Again, Dr. Wesley, thank you so much. It's been such a fun ride with you, and I'm looking to having you again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time, keep mastering your mindset for transformation in your life. Heal and resolve the conflict within yourself, and then you'll be able to do that with the world around you. Goodbye for now. Dr. Doris and I are grateful that you tuned in. Share this with someone, and we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.